How's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? Hope y'all having a good day today. So, got something a little special for y'all today. Now, I'm sure I've mentioned it a time or two on my channel that I do all my own mechanic work, for the most part. Now, today, what I'm doing is, I've been noticing my fuel economy has been going down and down and down, and I put fuel injector cleaner in it, and that worked for a while. Every once in a while I'll just, do a whole round of fuel injector cleaner. But now it's getting to the point where the fuel injector cleaner is no longer working. So what I'm doing today is I'm taking out all my old fuel injectors. And I'm the type of person I like to go above and beyond. So while I'm at it, I'm also going to replace my spark plugs and my ignition coils. So here's what I got. I've already taken it all apart. And I've already got on the new spark plugs. So here's what we got going on. It looks like a mess right now, but here's what we got going on. All this. So this is the connections for the ignition coils and the fuel injectors. I'm going to put all that back together. Here's the old ones right here. It's all over the ground. But I've already got the new spark plugs in, and those are ready to go. So I'm over halfway there of completing this job. And I've saved myself several $100s doing it myself. I bought my own parts. I've actually had them for a while, but I've been putting it off because I've done so much work to this truck, I'm kind of tired of it. Now, people ask me, like, why don't you just get a new vehicle? Okay, first of all, to me, that's asinine to get a new vehicle when you just got to put in a little bit of work, and your current vehicle could be great for a very long time. All too often, people replace things way too quickly. They'll replace their smartphone, a perfectly working smartphone, after 2 years because, it's outdated. Come on now. They'll replace their vehicles about the same way. Every 3 years, 3 to 4 years, people replace their vehicles. That's crazy to me. And people will say, well, 100,000 miles, that's a lot of miles. No, it's not. 200,000 miles, that's getting up there. And this old truck here has got 213,000 miles. And it's not the best brand. I mean, Dodges, they got pretty good motors, but everything else on it is not so great. So, so far this year, I've had to replace my radiator, my water pump, and just the other day, I had to replace my tensioner pulley, and I went ahead and replaced the tensioner arm assembly as well. So this pulley and this pulley here, those are completely new pulleys, and the tensioner arm is brand new. Belt's good and tight now. And I've also had to replace my wheel bearings. Crazy story about that one is I replaced my wheel bearings in New York City. A lot of people thought I was nuts for doing this, but I found a back street, so to speak, that wasn't really being used a whole lot, and I pulled this sumbitch up halfway up onto the sidewalk, jacked it up, and I replaced my wheel bearings right then and there, looking like a hillbilly motherfucker. I'll tell you what. I had my little propane torch heating the bearing up, and I took a 25-pound weight, and I hit it until it came off because it was so rusted and so old. It basically was seized on to the steering knuckle, and that's a component of the suspension. Basically, you have the upper control arm, lower control arm; those both connect to the steering knuckle. And it's perfectly okay if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Basically, it's connected at the steering knuckle, and it basically holds your wheel attached to your axle rod. This is a four-wheel drive, so it's got an axle rod in the front, 2 axle rods, I should say. And without that, if your wheel bearing completely goes out, you will literally lose a wheel. First, you'll get the death wobble, where basically the wheel will be wobbling back and forth, and then you could very well lose a wheel. And if you're on the highway going about 70 miles an hour, that will get you killed or get somebody else killed, because you're in for a bad accident. So, and I stress to people all the time, stay on top of your shit. Know the basics of your vehicle. It amazes me how people joke all the time how they have a check engine light on, or there's this weird sound coming from their vehicle that's been going on for a month. And I ask them, like, well, what is it? What's wrong with it? I don't know. I just turned the radio up more. If you're one of those people, I'm sorry, you're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry, you are an idiot if you're one of those people that completely ignores a mechanical problem with your vehicle. I mean, it's one thing to ignore a problem with the radio or a problem with the AC. I mean, hell, my air conditioning in this truck's been out for 2 years now. I don't give a shit. That's perfectly okay, but when it comes to something serious as a mechanical problem, you can get yourself and others killed. I mean, it amazes me, it baffles me how people ignore those problems. And not to mention, if you go out to your vehicle one day and you try to start it up and it doesn't start, you're stranded. And how can you get to work? How can you enjoy the things in life? Because most people in this country need a vehicle to get to and from. You know, unless you're in a big city like, New York or Los Angeles or whatnot, you're reliant on your vehicle. And it amazes me how people know very, very little. You know, I ain't saying you got to be like me, go all out and do all your own mechanical work like me. I haven't been to a mechanic, seriously, since I was 21. With the exception of one night, I ended up stranded. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't for sure. I didn't want to spend hours and hours trying to troubleshoot. But basically what happened is the starter wire got pulled out of my starter. I was thinking I needed a new starter. The mechanic came out and said, I know exactly what's wrong. 5 minutes later, I'm on the road, plus a $150 bill later, which just further encouraged me. Like, he did 5 minutes worth of work, it cost me $150, which it was worth it because he knew exactly where to go, kind of like you pay for the skill. But anyhow, back to what we're talking about here. I do all my own mechanic work. I keep this vehicle running. I'm going to keep it for another 50 to 100,000 miles until something really expensive happens to it. Like the head gasket blows or the transmission goes out. Then I'll get a new vehicle. Because really, if you have a perfect, you could look this up too. If you have a perfectly working vehicle that is running efficiently on fuel, decent within its parameters, you will keep your carbon footprint lower than if you were to completely scrap a perfectly working gasoline powered motor, completely scrap it and get yourself a Tesla. You're actually increasing your carbon footprint because there's rare earth metals that go into those Tesla batteries, not to mention the amount of oil and carbon fuels, hydrocarbons that goes into making it, all the plastics and all the manufacturing processes of these vehicles. You are burning fossil fuels, you are burning hydrocarbons, coal, whatever it is, you're burning fossil fuels to make these vehicles. So if you think you're reducing your carbon footprint by scrapping your old gasoline powered motor, you're completely wrong on that. You will reduce your carbon footprint by using your gasoline powered motor up until its last day that it's worth anything. There will become a time where I just can't do any more work to this. If I sling a rod, if the crankshaft goes out, transmission goes out, head gasket goes. Those are the three big things that really would probably completely shut me down on doing any more work to this vehicle. But other than that, I'm going to keep driving it. Hell, I've driven it past the point the wheels were falling off. So, but the point of it is for the past 7-8 months, it's probably been costing me an average of $300 a month to do work on this. Now, it's about to stop because I'm running through all the problems now. And it'll stop for a while. I'll probably stop for 6 months, a year. And it might kick back up. But the thing is that's still worth it to me than a car payment. The price of cars nowadays is ridiculous. It's going through the roof. This truck, I paid like $7,000 for this truck. It had 148,000 miles. I paid $7,000 for it. And now I could probably go and get the exact same money right out of this truck, even though I've added another 60,000, 70,000 miles to this vehicle. That is insane. That is inflation. It's insanity, really. Now, like I said, I could go get myself a newer vehicle, right? But I'll probably end up with a $500 a month car payment. But it's not just $500 too. Unless you got like $50,000 sitting around, you can't afford to buy a vehicle outright. So you're going to need to get on loans. And getting on loans, you don't just pay $500 a month. That's what you're paying right now, but in the long run, it's really costing you an extra $100 a month, depending on, if you do the math roughly, it's costing you more money in the long run. So it's not $50,000, you're probably paying more like $60,000, because these companies are smart. What they do is they charge you, if you look at your billing, the way it works with a lot of these car loans, even home loans, you're paying interest first. 60% of your payment could be mostly interest, and then it slowly pays off your principal. So it's not just a car loan of 8% or whatever it is your car loan is. It's much more than that. If you think of it, they're smart. They fuck you over royally. And I refuse to participate in that. So that's why I do what I do. And anyone can learn the basics and do some of their own mechanical work and save themselves off. I've saved myself probably at least $2,000 this year on doing all my own shit. All the shit that's gone wrong with the truck, most people would have given up by now, but not me. Once I get this fuel efficiency issue fixed, I probably won't have too awful much more to go on this truck. So what I'm trying to tout about today is being self-reliant. Learn as much as you can. It will save you so much. And not only will it save you money, it will also make you feel so much more confident. I tell you what, if I go to take off right, if I get this truck fixed up and it's running good, and I get a call tomorrow, hey, we need you all out in California, I am confident I will get there within a reasonable time, even if I have a mechanical issue, because I've done it. This radiator had a hairline crack on it that opened up right here towards the top on the old one. It opened up on me. And I was in Pennsylvania, and all of a sudden my temperature started ticking up. I pulled over. I went to the parts store, got myself a new radiator, had the radiator swapped out in an hour and a half. And I got to the job site on time, where a lot of people would have been shut down for a whole day because they would have had to wait for a mechanic, they had their vehicle towed, wait for the mechanic to get the work done. It would have shut them down for a whole day. No, says I. So, again, builds confidence to learn things. Learn as much as you can because it builds confidence. Learn as much as you can because it builds confidence. I can't stress that enough. Knowledge is power. But anyhow, that's all I have for you today. I'll probably also be dropping little bits of information here and there on how to make your vehicle last longer, little tips and tricks that I've learned and that I've learned from others who are wiser than me. So anyhow, if you've watched this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Peace.